Hey, Kathy Harron, Remax Surfside. I'm sharing some very important real estate information with you. So if you could please bear with me for a few minutes, I'm going to run a little long on this video, but I think it's important that you know what's going on. So on July 10th, 2024, Governor Murphy signed the Real Estate Consumer Protection Enhancement Act into law. Here are the key points for the 6 major changes that become effective on August 1st. And a lot of these changes don't just affect New Jersey, but you're going to see that they're coming out nationwide as well. So number one, sellers must provide a fully completed property disclosure before buyers sign a contract. Now, this is something that my office has used anyway, but a lot of offices do not. And this is where a seller is going to disclose any information that they know about the property. We're going to give that information to the buyer, and hopefully they're going to make a more informed decision when they make their offer and not get caught off guard during home inspections and things like that. I love this. I think it's great that this is a new part of our transparency between buyers and sellers. Number two, listing agents will be required to explicitly disclose who they represent at open houses. It must be posted after August 1st that listing agents, when doing an open house, state that they are clearly representing the sellers. So if you're a buyer going into an open house, you're going to need to sign in, state whether or not you're working with an agent, and just watch what you say, because anything that you say in that open house can be shared with the sellers, good, bad, or indifferent. So watch what you say, just like when I'm out showing properties and I tell my buyers to be careful because there are cameras listening to pretty much everyone now. Number three, designated agency. What this means is currently we have seller's agents strictly representing a seller, buyer's agents strictly representing a buyer, and disclosed dual agents, meaning that we have to walk a fine line working with both buyer and seller under the umbrella of an office. So that means if I have a buyer and seller for a property, I'm a disclosed dual agent, or if I have a buyer and someone else in my office has a seller, disclosed dual agent, we walk a fine line. Designated agency allows us to then say, okay, the one agent will not be representing both parties. We'll have 2 separate agents under the umbrella of the office representing each party individually so that they can offer more suggestions and negotiations and more fully serve the client under the umbrella of an office. This is a really good move on the state's part, in my opinion. Number 4, all licensees will be required to use brokerage agreements, which outline services they will provide to all clients over the course of a respective transaction. This is a buyer's agency agreement. Get used to it. It's here. So what this means is, think of it from a seller standpoint. When you're listing your property for sale, we get together, we go over all the terms and conditions, compensation, length of term of this agreement, all the things. Before I begin marketing the property, we sign this agreement. It's happening for buyers now too. So before seeing a home, you're going to need to sign some sort of agency agreement spelling out all the terms and conditions. There's going to be varying types of these agreements, but you need to know that when you call on a listing now after August 1st, and this is going to be happening nationwide later in the month, expect that the agent is going to have you sign some sort of agency agreement prior to showing you that home. It is law, okay? I suggest that when you're thinking about buying a home, you plan ahead. You don't just drive down the street, call on a sign, and pick a house. You should be a little more invested in this huge financial decision and make sure that you get good representation well in advance of making that decision. Number 5, sellers agents can no longer disclose compensation on multiple listing services or notify the MLS about cooperative compensation. So back to that buyer's agency agreement, there's going to be a compensation amount or a professional service fee amount, whatever they may call it, that the buyer is responsible to pay the buyer's agent. If the seller offers any compensation to the buyer's agent, it may or may not cover that cost. Okay, so if the seller chooses to offer buyer's agency compensation, it won't be disclosed in our MLS as it has always been in the past. I'll now have to reach out to the listing agent, ask, is the seller offering any compensation? If so, how much? And then convey that back to my buyer so they're fully aware as to if they're going to have to cover the additional cost for the buyer's agency agreement that they signed. Okay. We can also sometimes ask the seller if they'll do a seller's concession to cover that amount. We will discuss that more in our buyer's agency consultations. And if you've been on a search with me, looking for homes and thinking about buying a home, we're going to be scheduling a consultation meeting soon, either in person or on Zoom, so we can go over all these changes and discuss our buyer's agency agreement. Number 6, this is for agents. Continuing education classes on agency are now required. For years, we've had to meet certain continuing education requirements. I'm fine with this. Bring it on. Now we're adding more about agency so that everybody understands agency representation and things like that. I'm happy about all these changes. Other than number 5, that one's a little tricky, but we're going to work through it. So I'm all about more transparency and bringing more exposure, more visibility to our clients for understanding how a real estate transaction works. So I'll be reaching out to my buyers to discuss these changes and have some meetings. But if you are thinking about making a move, whether it's a year from now or a month from now, let's talk now. Let's get everything underway, and you'll be more informed. Okay, it'll be a good move. And if you know of anyone I can help in the Cape May County or surrounding areas, please give me a call. But also, if you need a realtor anywhere, I'm happy to find a great agent who's very knowledgeable about the laws and the rules, and I'm happy to connect you with someone excellent. So skip the Google search, call me first when you're thinking about buying or selling a home anywhere, and let's discuss all of these changes. I'm happy to answer your questions, and we'll work through it. All right. I hope to hear from you soon. 609-780-3938. Thanks for listening.